Coaches Direct presents Legends of the Game. Learn football fundamentals from the top college coaches in the country. Frank Beamer, Bobby Bowden, John Cooper, Frank Solich, Bob Toledo, Joe Paterno, Boyd Epley, Mac Brown, Philip Fulmer, and Tom Osborne. Every list of college football powerhouses includes The Ohio State University. The Buckeyes' great tradition in football is exemplified by 5 national titles. Legendary coach Woody Hayes personified the toughness and success of Ohio State football. And now that tradition is carried on by head coach John Cooper. After highly successful head coaching stints at Tulsa and Arizona State, Cooper arrived in Columbus, Ohio on the final day of 1987. And since then, he's led the Buckeyes to 3 Big Ten titles and a final national ranking as high as number 2 in the country. In his 23 years as head coach, Cooper's teams have won 9 conference titles and over 180 games, making him one of the winningest active coaches in the country. In addition to producing great football teams, Cooper has also made it a habit of producing great players as well. Going back just to 1995, Ohio State has made a clean sweep of the major college football awards. Eddie George won the Heisman and Maxwell Awards in '95. Bobby Hoeing won the Dratty Award as the top quarterback in 1995. Orlando Pace won the Lombardi Award in '95 and '96 and collected the Outland in 1996. Terry Glenn captured the Biletnikoff Award in '95, while Andy Katzenmoyer won the Butkus Award in 1997. And finally, Antoine Winfield was named the Thorpe Award winner in 1998 as the nation's top defensive back. Ohio State has long been known as a school that produces great defensive backs, such as Jack Tatum, Tim Fox, and Ray Griffin. In this video, Coach Cooper and Buckeye secondary coach John Tenuta will share with you the philosophy and drills of Ohio State defensive back play. Since Tenuta joined the OSU staff in 1996, every starting Buckeye defensive back has either been drafted into the NFL or signed a free agent contract with an NFL team. The drills and techniques on this video are the same ones that paved the way for All-Americans like Shawn Springs, Antoine Winfield, Damon Moore, and others to be successful not only on the college level, but in the NFL as well.
I want to talk to you first of all about some of the things that John Cooper believes in about the game of football and about the philosophy of playing defensive backs here at Ohio State. First of all, I think you win championships by playing great defense. Most great games, when it comes down in the fourth quarter, most teams that win those football games are playing great defense, and especially their defensive backs are making the plays that are going to give the offense a chance to win games. Now, what are we looking for in a defensive back? The number one thing that I think you look for is a player that makes plays. Now, you can talk about change of direction. You can talk about, breaking on the ball. You can talk about mental and physical toughness. You can talk about consistency and hard work and discipline, all those kind of things. But the main thing is when that ball is thrown, we want a defensive back to take the attitude that the ball is thrown to him. Go get the football. The number one thing you're trying to do on defense, of course, is to score. The number 2 things that you're trying to do, obviously, is to get the football back and give your offense a chance to score and win the football game. In order to make those plays that we're talking about in the secondary, the defensive backs have got to confuse that quarterback. They've got to disguise the coverage. They've got to make it look like they're playing a cover 3 zone, and it may be a type of man-to-man coverage, or it maybe looks like you're playing man-to-man and you might end up playing a zone. You've got to force that quarterback to make some bad plays, and then the defensive backs, those great defensive backs that we're talking about, have got the ability to jump on that football and make the play, get the interception, score touchdowns, or again, put the offense in good field position. Pass defense boils down to one thing. How much ground can you cover from the time that ball leaves the quarterback's hands till it gets to the intended wide receiver? So by being in a good football position, you get a jump, what we call a jump on the ball. When that ball is thrown, that defensive back is going to get a jump on the ball, he's going to break on the ball, And then the good defensive backs have got the ability to make the interception. I don't like to keep how many passes you break up. What you see is what you coach. So that defensive back, instead of breaking the ball up, instead of reaching up and knocking it down, if he can reach out there with two hands and intercept the ball at its highest point, you're going to put your offense in a lot better field position by making an interception, obviously, as opposed to knocking the ball down. We've been blessed to have some of the best defensive backs to ever play the game of college football here at Ohio State. We've had Sean Springs, 1998, was the first defensive back taken in the NFL draft, a consensus All-American. He was a very intelligent football player, never made many mistakes. He had good size, he had good quickness, he had the ability to break on the ball. And then, of course, Antoine Winfield, who won the Thorpe Award from us, wasn't very big, but the most instinctive football player. And as I talked about earlier, I think you can improve quickness and speed and change direction and ability to break on the ball and things like that. But the great defensive backs that we've had, that I've coached, have got a great instinct. It's that natural ability to be in the right place at the right time, ability to make plays. Antoine Winfield made those plays, not only supporting the running game, but also playing great pass defense. You know, the thing I like about defensive backfield play, if you want to play high school football, if you want to play college football, you can play in the defensive secondary. If you're going to work hard, if you're going to study film, if you're going to take coaching, if you're going to do what your position coach tells you to do, you can be, in my opinion, you can be a good defensive back. You don't have to be the fastest guy. You don't have to be the biggest guy, the strongest guy. You have to want to play. You have to have that burning desire to be a good football player. And if you have that, you can play in the secondary. Now, the other thing that I'm looking for as a defensive backfield coach to play in the secondary, I want guys that can catch the football. We think our defensive backs should have as good a hand as anybody on our team. Therefore, we spend more time on ball reaction drills, on catching the football, on tucking the ball away, on becoming a ball carrier as a defensive back as we do at any other position on our football team. Now I want to have Coach John Tenuta, a defensive backfield coach at Ohio State, talk to you about some of the drills, some of the things that we're doing with our defensive backs here. John Tenuta has done a great job coaching the defensive backs here at Ohio State. We've had our defensive backs have been the top defensive backs in the Big Ten Conference in the country the last few years. Almost every defensive player we've had here, defensive back we've had here, is now playing in the National Football League. We've had All-Americans, and we've had the Thorpe Award winner, Antoine Winfield, Sean Springs, Damon Moore, other guys that have played here have won All-American. So John Tenuta does a great job, and I'll have him take over now and talk to you about some of the drills we do.
Thanks, Coach Cooper. I appreciate it. The segment that we're getting into right now is our individual period that we do every day in practice. Two former players that I have with me right here are Damon Moore. He's a 3-year starter here at Ohio State, a strong safety, led the team in tackles 2 seasons. He's now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Central McClellan here was our nickelback the last 3 years, and now he's with the Cleveland Browns. Right now I'm going to talk about the 5 basic things we look at to be a good defensive back. The first thing we always talk about is the stance. Everything you do starts out of your stance. As I look at Damon Moore here, Damon, the first thing we do is at Ohio State is one foot's going to be up, the other foot's going to be back. We like to keep our outside foot up and our inside foot back. Everybody's a little bit different. Shoulders over your toes. Knees can't be out. Toes, knees, and ankles should be pointed straight ahead. We try and keep our shoulders square as possible. The big thing I look at is in your stance being loose in the hips. If you're not loose in the hips, you're going to have a hard time in transition, even just to start in the back pedal. From the stance, the first thing I look at is when he takes a step back, first step back is his shoulders over his toes as he's starting to go backwards. Now he takes his second step. Everything to me has to be balanced. He's going to pump his arms in the back pedal. Central's up here second. Again, every individual's a little bit different, all right? But the big thing we look at is keeping the shoulders over the toes, one foot to start in front of the other one because we're going to push off the one foot. Again, we got to be loose in the hips. Loose in the hips. You notice how his outside foot's up. He's going to push off his outside foot. If he has problems, wet weather, whatever, he's going to turn this foot in a little bit, almost like in a 30-degree angle, knowing he's got more cleats under there. And he has a chance by turning his foot in to push off, and he won't lose any of his traction coming off the ball. Set, hit, here he goes. Now he's going to drive into his back pedal. Again, shoulders over his toes as he reaches back, and now he's in position to go wherever he needs to go. That's how you got to start as a DB. You're going backwards, they're going forwards. But again, the stance itself, being balanced, maintaining being balanced, and then working into your back pedal is the key for success. Now we're going to talk about the back pedal. All right, and then getting a good proper back pedal is everything you have to maintain is balance. Again, you have to be loose in the hips. All right, as Central pushes off his front foot and reaches back, every step he takes, he wants to maintain his shoulders off over his toes and maintain being balanced in everything that he does. Notice how Central stays tight in there. His knees aren't going out. They're staying straight ahead. His toes are staying straight ahead. He wants to be what we term as tight as possible in his back pedal, not saying his body's tight, but he wants to stay right here. We use this line, stay on that line, so he's backpedaling in a straight line, which helps you maintain better speed when you go backwards. I'm going to ask Damon here, the thing we always believe in is the communication aspect. So Damon's going to yell out a few words here. We're going to talk about, he's going to say in, out, out, because he's going to help the linebackers, the other secondary players, in knowing that if he's on a wide receiver or a tight end, where that guy took his break. So here's what we do. Ball snap.
Pass. Ball. In. Curl. Dig.
Central's going to do the same thing. And again, he's going to be a little bit slower in his back pedal to start with. Again, because he may be in a pedal read situation, and he's going to do the exact same thing as he comes out.
Pass. Ball.
The next thing we talk about is transition. Obviously, you got yourself from your stance into your back pedal. Now you got to be able to cover a wide receiver, or if you're in zone coverage, you got to be able to break on the football. Everything still stays the same. You start in a good stance. All right, you drive yourself, now we're going to walk into a back pedal. Now, his shoulders are over his toes. He's in good position. His hips are ready to move. Now he has to be able to go into a direction. All right, the first direction we always talk about is just coming right back forward. I'll know right now, coming right back forward, if Damon's weight is on his heels, when he gets ready to come in transition, he's going to drop step, and his shoulders are going to get high, his head's going to come back, his back's going to arch opposite what I want to see, and now it's going to take him 2 or 3 steps to get his momentum and motion coming back forward. The thing we work on, doesn't matter when you're coming forward, whichever foot you put down. One foot has to be your plant foot, one foot has to be your direction foot. So to me, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go set, hit. There goes Damon in his back pedal. All right, come on forward. He's going to plant. He planted his right foot. Bang. Notice how he did not step behind himself. That's the key. You never want to lose steps. So now we're going to turn it up a little bit here. Set, hit, up, bang. He got that foot on the ground, transition. His shoulders were always over his toes, and he exploded coming forward. The next one we look at is coming up on a 45-degree angle. Set, hit. Central planted on his right foot, came to his left, drove downhill on a 45-degree angle. Here I want Damon to do an out, but this time I want him to do it to his right. So I want to see him plant on his left foot, throw his head and shoulders, and break on a 90-degree angle, just like you're going for an out. Let's say you're covering your buddy in a one-on-one in the schoolyard, and he runs the out. I want to be able to break on the out and make a play on the football. Here we go. Set, hit. Break. Excellent transition. Excellent transition. We're not wasting steps, chasing ghosts, as we term it. We're getting ourselves to the football or to the junction point. One more time for me, set, hit, plant, open and drive. Plant, open and drive. That's all we ever talk about. Plant, open and drive. Now we're breaking for depth. All right. Somebody's running the post corner on us. Somebody's running the post on us, which is a deep 45-degree angle. Knowing that the wide receiver is running forward to run that, now I got to be able to backpedal, open my hips, open my gate, and drive on a 45-degree angle for depth to cover that route. Cent's going to go to his left, so he's going to plant off his right foot. Set, hit, break. There we go. That's a good job, Cent. Again, Central never had any motionless moves there. His right foot came down, he opened his left foot, he directional step, he threw his head and shoulders, and he got his eyes back. Now he sees the receiver and the quarterback. Another big drill that we work on all the time. Obviously, one of the biggest fears of a secondary player is getting beat deep. We just call this a 180-degree turn to get ready to play the deep ball. Damon's going to demonstrate for us here. He's going to go to his right. And what we're going to have him do is we're going to start him in the back pedal. All I'm going to do is drive him in his back pedal, and I'm going to lift the ball up. He's going to turn, and our big thing is that's why we like to use the lines. We want to stay on the line in transition. If we come off the line, it's going to take us that many steps as we're off the line to recover. So if we have a smooth transition and open ourselves up and drive and stay on that line, we have a chance to get back in the hip and not get beat on a deep ball. Damon's up first. Here we go. Set, hit.
Pass.
There it is right there. So stay as tight on the line as possible. Set, hit. There it is right there. He stays right on the line. The tighter you stay on the line, again, the more effective, the quicker aspect and transition to get back in the hip and play the hip position. Kids, if you work on those 5 things, braking coming forward, braking downhill to your right and to your left, 90 degrees to your right and to your left, 45 degrees for depth to your left and to your right, 180-degree turn both ways. If you work on that as well as your stance and your back pedal, it'll take you 20 minutes a day, you're going to become a more productive football player and have a great season. The number one thing that we work on coming forward is getting our hips broken down. Why do we want to break down? Is we could be in a mad sprint for the football, the ball carrier. It could be blockers in front of us. When we get ready to make contact, we want to sink our hips. We want to stay tight. We almost come to a duck walk. We never stop our feet. But by doing this breakdown drill right here, we know we're under control and we have a chance to get our body in position to make a play. So the breakdown drill that we do right here is just every 5 yards, central set, hit. He's going to come forward, he's going to sink his hips, slowly chop his feet, and get himself in position to make a play, whether he's playing a blocker or whether he's getting ready to make a tackle. So we do this drill. This is the first drill we do when we come out of the box every day. Set, hit. We want them to break their hips down. The reason we want them to break their hips down is we want them to gather themselves and be under control. Slightly dropping your hips and keeping your shoulders over your toes allows you to be in a fit or hit position where you have a chance not to get knocked off your feet if a blocker's coming at you, or now you have a chance to hit on the rise, keeping your eyes up. Notice how Central sunk his hips every time there. Gathered himself, just so he can get ready to strike on the rise. He has his eyes up, he's ready to hit, he's ready to redirect, he's ready to play blockers. It's a big thing in football. The number one drill we do at Ohio State's a W drill. And this drill right here helps us with about 3 different concepts. It helps us with our back pedal, obviously, but we start in our man weave, maintain with our shoulders staying square, driving in our back pedal, working on a 45-degree angle, and maintaining ourselves with our shoulders over our toes. Once we maintain 5 yards, now we're going to drive forward on a 45-degree angle as though there was a run or the ball was already thrown, and now we got to accelerate transition, come forward, break our hips down, get ourselves almost in a duck walk, hit the line, and then we're going to repeat it. So it's a big drill for us where we can accomplish a lot of things in one drill. Damon's going to be the first one up. He's going to go about half speed for me. Again, the big thing is he's loosening his hips, good stance. He's going to push off his front foot. All I do is hit the ball.
Pass, pass, pass. Run, 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 run.
Comes forward.
Pass, pass, pass. Run, 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 run.
All right, he comes back. The big thing here, again, we're looking for is transition. Transition, again, but it's still all the small coaching points. Shoulders over the toes, driving in our back pedal, man weave, keeping our shoulders square and not turning our hips. Keeping our shoulders square as long as we can, driving the 5-yard barrier, now exploding forward. Set, hit.
Pass, pass, pass. Ball, ball, ball. Ball, ball, ball. Pass, 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 pass. Ball, 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 ball.
Staying with the W drill. The big thing we look at here is Damon drives himself back on a 45-degree angle. As he gets in the point to get ready to break, we don't want him to get his shoulders up and drop step. We want smooth transition. Obviously, Damon's going to his left here. We want him to plant off his right foot, direction step with his left foot, and drive himself forward. Big thing is we can't afford to lose ground.
Pass, 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 pass. Run, run, run. Pass, 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 pass. Run, 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 run.
We cannot lose a step in transition. Here we go. Set, hit. Damon drives up. Again, he does not drop step. He does not drop step, so he always has a chance to plant directional step and come forward. Open field tackle is the #1 tackling drill that we do here at Ohio State. Obviously, here we don't have pads on. We're going to be 10 yards apart. All right, coaching point is this. I always want Damon to be on the back hip of the ball carrier. We always want the ball to go out the front door. So I start him in relationship to Central here. As you can see right now, he's got his left foot on the hash mark. Damon's vision point is this hip right here, which we call the inside hip. All right, now as Central pushes off and starts to go on a 45-degree angle, Damon is pushing off and again going on a same 45-degree angle, and what we want is the junction point to be 5 yards. So as Damon's coming downhill to make the tackle, again, as he gets ready to fit, he's going to sink his hips. He's going to sink his hips, just what we did in the breakdown drill, to get your hips underneath you. Now he's going to look to chest him up. With his eyes up, his head up, he's going to be in position now to form fit, and when we're in pads, we fit up. We don't take them to the ground, but we want a good explosion up and through. The terms we use is eyes, which makes them keep their eyes up, hit them on the rise. And again, as we come into the junction point right here, again, he is on the back hip of the ball. By staying on the back hip, if Central were to cut back, he can still chest him up and be in position, and he won't lose him on a cutback. We always want it going out the front door, and Damon in position to be in position to hit him and knock him outside. No cutback seams. Hit, half speed. Boom. Good fit. On a wider angle, just like we had a toss sweep or an outside pitch play, where the angle is a little bit wider. Now Damon, again, has to come downhill. Again, we want the junction point at 5 yards, but we want to be in position to stay on the back hip in case Central does plant and cut himself back. Set, hit. Again, right there on the angle. Damon's in position now to fit him up, force him out the front door. There is no cutback. He's in a good broke down position. Don't want to get his legs too wide apart now. Again, that's where we break down to get our feet underneath us and narrow our feet. If our feet are wide and our arms are out here, the running back's going to run over us. We want to chest up in a good position and go through the running back or the wide receiver. Coaching point, stay on the back hip of the ball, explode downhill, sink your hips. Same thing we do in the breakdown drill, up and through the ball carrier. Here we go. Set, hit, close, 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 fit. The segment we're looking at right now is just basically catching the football. All right, as a defensive back, obviously they know that the ball's not being thrown to them, it's being thrown to a wide receiver or running back. What we look at here is transition of the defensive back. We always want to come downhill, not try and run back for the ball. For in zone defense, we want to break downhill on the football and catch the ball with our hands. Talk about having soft hands and catching the front point of the ball. As Damon comes downhill towards me, and I hear he's walking, thing is, again, he high points the football, catches the front point, tucks the ball away, and drives himself forward. Obviously, when we intercept the football, we want to score with it. That's our #1 thing. Obviously, coaching point is get down the nearest sideline, get as many yards as you can, but secure the football. Look the ball in, look the ball in. You have just as much right for the football as a receiver does. Catch that ball, secure the football, and score with it if possible. All I do is I hit the football, Damon comes downhill, throw the ball at him, front point, tuck it away. Now you just became an offensive football player. Here comes Central downhill. Again, extends his hands out, catches front point of the ball, tucks the ball away. Again, going back to the catching aspect of it, and what we've emphasized before is the deep ball. Big thing is getting ourselves in the back pedal, turning 180 degrees, and being able to play a ball thrown high in the air. All right? With a receiver, myself, the junction point, and high point in the football, it's a big thing that we work on so we don't get beat deep. And we'll just do it versus air right now. Here we go. Damon's up first. Again, everything starts in a stance. He's getting ready to go. I go set, hit. He drives in his back pedal, 180-degree turn, ball's up high. He goes up, high points the football, catches it. Same thing. Soft hands, intercepts the ball, finds the near sideline, and brings the ball home. Again, starts right at the beginning. First thing we do, we come out of the chute, we work on our back pedal and the brakes. So this has already happened. Now we put the ball in the transitional aspect, and in their mind, they're thinking a guy's going deep on them. So Central, bang, starts out in his back pedal, opens his hips, deep ball, high points the ball, intercepts down the near sideline. All right, Damon's up here. Again, turn it up a little bit. Damon said, hit. He's going to drive his back pedal, open up, ball's up high. He's going to get himself in position to high point it, catch it at his highest point, try to attack the football. But still, you got to have soft hands. Set, hit. There goes Central. Good hip movement there. Excellent hip movement. Now he's in position. He's running that line that we talked about earlier. He's driving himself and exploding. Now he can see the quarterback and the receiver, gets his hands up high, high points the ball, intercepts it, gets down the near sideline. 180-degree turn, set, hit. Damon's driving. Good turn, flops his hips. Again, he's got to go get that football. We have just as much right for it as the receiver. He's got to accelerate himself. He's got to get his hands up high. He's got to high point the football. Central again here. Set, hit, push off that front foot, drive, flops his hips excellently, ball's up high, jumps up there, high points the football, and brings it home for a score. Now that I'm back in my meeting room, I'd like to talk a little bit more about philosophy and the 5 main components that we use in secondary play at Ohio State. Obviously, the first one is philosophy. Coach Cooper did an excellent job of discussing and talking about the philosophy that we use here at Ohio State, and we're big on being ball hawks, intimidating, and excellent tacklers. Obviously, there's 4 other components that we use. One of them is the plan of attack. The plan of attack is our base way of teaching our players what their responsibilities are as secondary play. Obviously, as a defensive back, the first thing we have to do is stop the pass. And obviously, with multiple coverages, zone or man, that is our priority as a secondary player. The second thing we look at is we have to contain the outside run. Obviously, the force, all right, for the outside run, the majority of the time it's by a safety or a corner, depending on our scheme, and they have to get that ball turned back inside to the front 7 players so we don't have big runs on the outside. The third thing we talk about is keep an inside run to a minimal gain. Now, minimum gain meaning this, that obviously our front 7 has to stop all the inside power games, the isolation, and the trap. But if somebody splits one, it's our job to get them on the ground and live to play another down. So these 3 things right here are things we talk about all the time and reiterate, these are our jobs and we have to get that done. The third thing we look at is the plan of action. This aspect right here, we spend a lot of time talking about based on what the defense is that we've called and what we want to play. All right, and then we break it down into segments based on different things from the huddle call all the way down to when the play ends. Obviously, this one right here is where we start in the concept of the huddle call. We look at the huddle call is our secondary has to know what the huddle call is from front to back. They got to know what the stun is. They have to know what the dog is. They have to know what the blitz is, obviously because of what effect it may have on them based on the coverage. So obviously, number one thing, plan of action is the huddle call. Know what the huddle call is. From there, we go to stance and alignment. Now, again, that's based on coverage and based on formation. When we look at formations, our secondary 90% of the time is what we do is we match up. So our corners are going to always be with the wide receivers and our strong safety will be to the tight end side. So from there and by formation, what their alignment is, and then obviously the stance that we want to use to defend that formation. Read and react, obviously, that's everything a secondary player, Coach Cooper talked about that earlier, ball, snap, what they have to see, what their keys are, and now their reaction time to get to the football. All right. Number 4 here is be a sure tackler. We talked about that earlier in the plan of attack, but our big thing is what we want to do is we want to make sure we get people on the ground and live to play another down. The 5th thing is create turnovers. Again, we want to be ball hawks. We don't want to just knock the ball away. We want to high point the football, intercept, create turnovers, and put our offense in excellent field position. Number 6, obviously this is one thing that we do an excellent job of here at Ohio State is communication from the huddle call to even when the guy is tackled. We are always talking, whether it's the force, whether the ball's being thrown in the air, the communication skills never stop. The fourth thing is our checkpoints. And this is something that we use every day with our players from the meeting room and out on the field. The little terms that we have up here are things that we discuss, and then my players, they can remember that aspect and know that, hey, whether it's up here on the board, things from their freshman year or their senior year that we all look at. Vision's number one. And the vision aspect is, to me, it's the most indispensable tool that you have. You're always going to follow your eyes. We talked about in the plan of action about the read and reaction. Well, that's what you're going to do. Whether you see the quarterback on a 3-step drop, 5-step drop, you're playing man coverage on a wide receiver, you're reading a tight end, you have to come force the drill, you're going to always follow your eyes. So vision, what do you see? And make sure that you have a wide shutter and not tunnel vision. Stance, everything starts with your stance. We start with a good balanced stance. We talk about all the time. We put on the film, practice film, hey, you're not in a very good stance. That's why you didn't get out of there and you got beat. Footwork, something that we work on all the time. And that goes back to individual aspect of it, how we break, how we get ourselves in position to make plays. Quick reflexes are not just your feet, but your hands, your body position. Get yourself. You have to be quicker than the other man, things that we work on. Obviously, tackling. I can't stress tackling enough. We're going to be a good, sound tackling football team. That's why we work on it all the time. Defeating blocks. We treat that no different than defensive linemen. We are going to meet and defeat blocks. Defensive backs have to stay on their feet. They have to keep their feet and their eyes alive. That way they can never get to the ground. We can't get cut. Playing the ball. Being ball hawks. Again, to reiterate, things we talk about. We just don't want to knock the pass down. We want to get both hands on the ball, intercept, and create turnovers. Zone, how to play zone defense, how many threats you have. We break it down. If I'm a field side corner, I have 2 threats. I got the deep third. Well, I got to know what both guys are doing so I don't get beat. Man coverage, we break that down. Again, we break that down based on if we're playing off man, press man technique. Is he an inside receiver? Is he an outside receiver? How wide is his split? If I'm a strong safety playing a tight end, am I playing him in an outside technique? Am I going to slide to an inside technique? Those things we work on, again, every day. The 10th one right here is something that I really believe in and I talk to my players about. Refine your technique. Work on your weaknesses. Your strengths will always be there. So every day, we're going to upgrade every day. And by upgrading every day, I'm going to work on my weaknesses, not my strengths. We're going to go back out on the field, and what we're going to look at and talk about is what we call our daily must. This is really the meat and potatoes of what we do on the field in individual practice to get ourselves ready, all right, to play 12 games. First thing we talk about right here is the back pedal and brakes. Obviously, that goes back to stance. We want to be smooth in our back pedal, and we want to work on all our transitions. No matter what type of coverage that we're playing, we want to be able to break smooth and clean on the football. Tackling, again, I've said this before, we work on tackling every day. We are going to be an excellent tackling secondary as well as the defensive unit. We work on angle tackle, goal line tackle, we'll break it down, but those are our bases. From there, we go to defeating blocks. Obviously, when we have a force drill, how we want to take on blocks. Our corners work on taking on the wide receivers in the stalk drill. We have a spill drill we use with our safeties because sometimes they're in linebacker positions. And obviously we have the last man drill because we want to get our secondary in position again to go back to, we're going to knock the home run ball out of bounds. We're going to get the guy on the ground and live to play another down. Catching the ball, being ball hawks. Again, the brakes, the same brakes we use in the back pedal drills are the same brakes we're going to use because obviously you're going to get yourself in position whether you're high, low, you got your back turned to the ball. We have to break on the football. So we're going to break, throw the ball, and catch the ball. The number one drill we use all the time is the deep ball drill because we don't want to get beat deep, but we want to work on getting our corners or safety in position to play a deep pass. Again, from there we go to man technique. We spend a lot of time, we're a big man team, on off man, press man, and what we call a BAM technique, off a bump and run. Those things, again, we'll spend time in individual as well as one-on-one against our wide receivers. From there, when we have a teaching period, it's always right before we go into a specific 9-on-7 or 7-on-7 drill, we're going to work on our zone. We're going to line up in a four deep shell. We're going to talk about how many threats do you have by formation, and obviously we're going to pattern read, walk through the top patterns of our opponents. And again, the thing that we talk about and work on all the time are turnovers. We work on whether it's an OSCE drill, intercepting the football, stripping the football, fumble recovery, creating turnovers, because that'll be a big point in winning football games. The one thing we work on all the time is our man coverage. We're a big man team. All right, the first thing we talk about is off man position. We're going to play off the wide receiver. Again, we disguise coverages a lot at Ohio State. And again, everybody has different ways of doing things. Our starting point is 6 yards off the wide receiver. And we're going to be anywhere in the framework of from foot down the crotch of the wide receiver to no further than 1 yard inside him. We call this, we're going to have our vertical cushion, which is 6 yards, and now obviously our lateral cushion. Our big thing is we like to play a lot of inside man technique. By playing inside man technique, we are going to focus on the inside hip. The wide receiver has to run with his hip. We don't look at the belly button, we don't look at the numbers, we don't look at the head. We focus on that hip. We're going to break off what that hip does for us. The basic drill that we do when we go against each other, DB against DB, is all we do is what we call the weave drill. All right, I want to maintain vertical and lateral cushion as long as I can. So if Central were to come off the ball, don't go Central, and sprint down the field, the first thing we're going to do is Damon's just going to backpedal as long as he can, and we're going to let that guy run by him. But again, the coaching point for Damon is keeping my shoulders square, maintaining my vertical and lateral cushion as long as I possibly can, and let him run by me. Why? Every individual is different. Every individual's break box is going to be different. Damon may be able to maintain on Central 20 to 25 yards and stay in his back pedal. Damon may only be able to maintain a 50 after 15 yards or 10 yards. That's all the further he can backpedal because Central's on top of him too fast. So every guy has to learn his break box. So the first drill that we do is just plain and simple. We're going to maintain inside relationships. So as Central comes off the ball, walk off the ball for me, Central. Damon pushes off, starts in his back pedal, stop. Again, right here, Central came straight off the ball. By coming straight off the ball, Damon knows right now I still got my vertical cushion, I still have my lateral cushion inside. Now Central starts to weave inside. If he stems me inside here, Damon's going to try and keep his shoulders square. He's got his vertical cushion. He's got his vertical cushion, and he's also maintained his lateral cushion. He's inside. His eyes are still focused on the inside hip. Now, if Central comes down and breaks hard inside, that hip has disappeared. Damon knows one thing. He is going inside. By Central going inside, again, he's going to drive. Oh, yeah, that hip disappeared, but that's still his aiming point. He's going to drive to get to that hip. If he maintains this relationship and still has his lateral cushion, he'll get to the junction point where the ball and the receiver are just as soon as he does. And now he can see the ball thrown in man coverage and play the football. Again, his relationship, vertical lateral cushion, reading the inside hip, knowing that he's not sure what's up. We teach our players at Ohio State as they get ready to get focused on that wide receiver, they're going to look inside to make the quarterback and the receiver not know exactly what they're playing. Once they're assured that the quarterback has cleared the three-step, their eyes are going to be right back on that hip. They're going to peripher the wide receiver all the way, but they're going to get their eyes focused right back on that wide receiver's hip and play hip position. That's all we talk about. Obviously, when can he look for the football? That's a big question. As Central drives down the field on Damon, Damon maintains his vertical and lateral cushion. Central's hips drop. Now his hip goes, he works to go outside on the out. As he breaks on the out, now Damon knows where that hip is. He's going to maintain coming downhill. Now he has a chance to peripher or peek for the football, knowing that the quarterback has to throw the ball and there's more air under the ball on an outside throw. We take away the inside because that's an easier throw for the quarterback. As he periffs, he still breaks downhill, and now he's going to play through Central to the football. He has a chance now that he's in the hip position, to get a gauge on the football and intercept the ball because he can see the ball when the ball's in the air. We try and always maintain hip position Now we have a chance to play the football, and we're not blind to the ball. We're not playing just the receiver. We can see both. The first route, again, we're going to look at is an in route, whether he's running a dig route or just an in. As he stems him down the field vertically, Damon's going to maintain his lateral and vertical cushion and break downhill to the junction point. Excellent job there by Damon. Notice how his eye stayed focused on Central's hip. Now, once he saw where the break was, as he broke to come downhill, he has a chance to see the quarterback throw the football and get a gauge on the ball. We want the football. Same thing here. Now he's going to work on the out. 6 yards off, vertical and lateral cushion. Hit. Central comes off the ball. Damon sees it again. Notice how Damon's plant was no different there than it was at the beginning. Beginning meaning what? When we start an individual period, when we do our back pedal and our brakes, again, Damon went to his right there. He's going to plant off his left foot. He's not going to drop step, lose transition. He's reading that hip. Everything maintains and is the same from period 1 to whenever. From the first quarter to the fourth quarter, it doesn't change. There he is now as he looks back inside. That quarterback's not really sure what he's doing, whether he's in zone or man. Neither is the wide receiver. As the wide receiver came to the line, he looked at him and wasn't sure. He may have an inside alignment, but is he playing man or is he playing zone? Set, hit. As Damon drives off, he sits there, bang. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is press technique. All right, obviously our press technique at Ohio State deals with two facets. Whether the receiver is on the line of scrimmage or he's off the ball. Off the line of scrimmage as a Z receiver or flanker would be off the ball. The first one we're going to talk about is receiver being on the line of scrimmage. Obviously, the first thing, we can't be offsides as a defensive back. We got to know the neutral zone. Neutral zone is the width of the football. We're going to try and get as much of the line of scrimmage as we possibly can. All right? Our feet are going to be shoulder width apart. Same thing. We have to be loose in our hips. And what I tell my players is I want their hands up. Again, the only hand we're really going to worry about is our inside hand because we want to steer the wide receiver outside if possible. But we may use our outside hand. We don't want to overuse our outside hand because now if we use our outside hand, we're going to get run by and we're always going to be in a trail position. Same thing here. We want to be in an inside technique. We want to take the inside away from him by alignment. We want to force him now to have to stutter his feet and work to swat and swim me or rip me to get inside. But my position tells me right now he has got to release outside. Now, Central, by being in a stance, first thing he's going to do is, the vision is still the same. He's going to look up through the receiver. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at his feet. Here, Damon has his inside foot up. So unless he drop steps with his inside foot, we know that his outside foot's got to move first. And by moving the outside foot, I know I have a chance to strike him with my inside hand. As he's looking at the hip and Damon steps up, bang, I have a chance right now to stick him right in the chest. Head up, eyes up, and be in position now. Notice how Central hasn't locked out his arm. If he were to lock out his arm, now the advantage goes to the receiver because look where the weight just went. The weight just went back on his heels and his butt's down, and now the guy's going to get by him. I'm going to stick him just like a boxer, but I'm not going to totally overextend my hand. Now, pushing off my inside foot, I'm going to steer Damon outside. Now I'm going to open my gate up. And by opening my gate, all right, same thing. I push off my left foot. I'm going to directional step and swing my gate open to force Damon now. And again, with my hand shrunk, now as I push to extend, I'm going to throw my hip to his hip. And again, now we're on the inside hip position. All right? As Damon continues down the field, I'm going to maintain that hip position. All right? Now as we come down the field, how do I know the ball's being thrown? Well, I got to play through the receiver. If I take the front part of my hip and put on the back side of his hip and look right through his ear hole, I'm going to know what's up. If Damon's hips come down, the odds are now my hips are going to go down. I'm going to get ready to make a break because the receiver's breaking. If the receiver continues, he got forward body lean down the field, I'm going to maintain hip position. Now I'm going to get ready to play the football. What I'd like to do is, if I'm in the hip position, as we're running down the field, is try and take my outside arm to his inside arm and try and knock it down. So when the ball comes, he only has one arm to extend, and now I have a chance to get both my hands inside to him, and I can look and lean for the football. If I'm never in that position, I'm always slightly behind him, I don't have a chance to get my hands inside of his hands because now he's in position on me. Now I have to look to come over the top and get my hands through his and look back for the football through his hands in this direction. The third thing, if I am in the hip position and I don't win, come on right here, and I don't win, I can't get this arm over the top of his, and both his hands come up first. This hand's got to come through as I lean, and now this hand's over the top to try and disrupt and knock these arms apart by not allowing this hand to get to the football. I come up this one, now he's got to catch the ball one-handed. Again, Damon's got his inside foot up, so now I know that he's probably going to move his outside foot first. My aiming point is this pec. All right, if he's got two numbers, it's the inside numbers. A lot of wide receivers have one number, so I tell them it's the outside of their shoulder pad right here as my steering point. As Damon comes off the ball, bang, I shoot my hands, work to steer him outside, open my gate, throw my hip to his, and now I'm playing football. Now, here's where receivers sometimes get a little tricky with us. Damon takes his outside foot and just staggers it to even. Now he's even, and what he wants me to do is shoot this hand, so now I can push off my outside foot, swat and swim and beat him inside. And what we want to do is not allow him to come inside. So now and now only is the time now as Central uses his inside hand and sticks. He's trying to stay balanced as long as he can. The weight's on the balls of his feet. All right, he's going to slide step inside. All right, as he comes down inside, now he's going to use his outside hand and he's going to force him to try and wash him down as we term it. And now I got to get my outside hip to his hip and be in position now to play outside in on him, but wash him down because, again, eliminate the inside throw, which is an easy throw for the quarterback. Set, hit. Whoa, Central quick there. He was very quick. He knew it was an inside move. He saw Damon's outside foot come up and stagger, bang. He did not come forward. There was no forward body lean in Damon. He could feel it as he started to steer him to the outside. He felt the pressure, opened his gate back the other way, and quickly, just like a boxer, moved his outside hand to stick the shoulder pad, and you got to hit him, or else he's going to get a clean release inside, and then threw his hip to his hip and washed him down inside. An inside release. Again, for Damon to go an inside release, he's going to stagger his feet. He's not going to come as far forward. Even if Central does hit him, he's going to push off that foot and work back inside. The thing you saw Central do right there, he maintained himself as square as possible even when he punched. As he started opening his gate, he felt the pressure. He can't hold him from going back inside. Now again, goes back to the basic individual aspect. He pushes off his outside foot, uses that hand and arm, opens his gate, hip to hip, and pushes down inside.
But do that again, guys.
Do it again, Sant. Hip to hip, hip to hip. In closing, I'd just like to say that obviously Damon Moore and Central McClellan, I appreciate their help here today. They've been here 5 years and they've really worked to get where they are right now, both of them with an NFL football team. I'd like to say that the things that we've just shown you are things that we need to work on, you as an individual need to work on every day, because if you don't work on the little things, if you don't start from the back pedal and progress yourself on down the line, and guys, it doesn't take more than 20 minutes a day, and work on it all time, not just during the football season. It's something you have to work on to be a good defensive back year-round. You'll have a chance to be in the NFL just like these two men.
These drills you've just seen Coach John Tenuta do with our football players are the exact drills that we do every day. If you're going to be a good football player, you got to spend a lot of time on your own. You got to spend a lot of time in the weight room. You got to spend a lot of time on the football field during the summer. You got to spend a lot of time off the field studying the films and dedicating yourself and trying to be the best football player you can possibly be. You know, everybody wants to win when you go on the field, but the will to win is important. The will to prepare to win is vital. That football player, that football team that has worked the hardest during the summertime, during the winter conditioning program, that has lifted weights, that has run those wind sprints, that has taken coaching, that has spent time in the film room studying the opponent's offense, and formations and strategies and things like that is usually that team that's going to win. The team that makes the fewest mistakes will win that football game. You've prepared yourself as a team to play the best game you can possibly play. You're not going to make mistakes. You're going to play hard. You're going to pursue that football. You're going to get there, take the shortest route to the ball carrier and get there in a bad mood. And if you do that and lay it on the line every play, you're going to come out with a victory. Teamwork. If you play on a football team, you're going to have to dedicate yourself. You're going to have to play within the framework of that team. You're going to have to take coaching. If you're a good enough football player, you're going to have a chance to win these kind of awards. We've won all conference awards. We've won the higher players have won the Heisman Trophy. They've won the Lombardi Awards. They've won the Butkus, the Biletnikoff, the Thorpe. The very best football players in college football have come through our program, and they've been successful because they've done the drills that you've seen Coach Tenuta do. They've sacrificed. They've spent a lot of time in the weight room. They've dedicated themselves to being the very best that they can be. I think the number one lesson that I've learned, though, in football, and the number one lesson you can learn is self-esteem. Get out for football. Make something of your life. Don't waste it. Get involved in teamwork. Take coaching. Dedicate yourself to being the best football player you can possibly be, and I promise you, your life's going to be a lot better. Men, when you take the field this afternoon, give it your best shot. You've worked hard, you've prepared yourself. No football team has worked any harder. No football team is better prepared to play the best game that you can play than this team is today. Dedicate yourself. The next play is the most important play of your life. Last play is over. The next play is the most important play. Give it your best shot. When you come off that football field, I want you to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I did my best. If you give it your best shot and you did your very best, I guarantee you, you're going to come out victorious. You may not win the football game, but you're going to come out victorious. I guarantee you that. I love this game of football. Certainly I would not be where I am right now without high school football, without college football. It's been my whole life. I've been a college football coach for over 30 years. I would not have gone to college without a football scholarship. And the game of football has taught me the lessons that have carried me through everyday life. I think some of the things you learn, number one, you learn self-sacrifice. If you're going to be a good football player, you've got to work hard. You've got to work hard. You've got to have discipline. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have confidence. The next play is the biggest play of your life. The next play. How are you going to react to adversity? I think those are some of the things you learn. You're going to get knocked down in life. You're going to get knocked down in the game of college football. When you get knocked down, you got to get up off the ground and you got to keep going. There are going to be some disappointments. You're going to lose loved ones. You're going to have financial problems. You're going to have to make some sacrifices in life, just like you've had to make sacrifices to be where you are if you're going to be a good football player. I hope you've learned something from this tape. I hope you take the fundamentals, the drills that Coach Tenuta has taught you, and improve your individual play, improve yourself as a football player. And I hope you've learned something about what we do here at Ohio State with some of the team aspects, the hard work and dedication and desire, and some of those kind of things. And you can see if you do that, the rewards are going to be they're going to be outstanding. You're going to have a chance to win team awards. You're going to have a chance to win individual awards. And if you work hard, if you believe in yourself, and you have the confidence to be the best you can be, I hope you take this tape and learn something from it.
I hope you've enjoyed this tape by John Cooper. As you know, John Cooper has had great success at many places, Tulsa, Arizona State University, and has had a great tenure at Ohio State. His teams have been among the very top teams in the country for several years. And so we really appreciate his expertise in the area of secondary play, and I'm sure that you benefited greatly from listening to what he had to say. This Legends of the Game video is one in a series of instructional tapes made for coaches, athletes, parents, and fans of the game of football. There are a total of 10 tapes available covering all aspects of football. We sought out the best coaches in the country in order to produce top-quality instructional tapes. If you would like to order additional videos or receive more information about the Legends of the Game series, call 800-230-3831 or write us at Coaches Direct in Lincoln, Nebraska. You may also fax us at area code 402-465-8849, or you can visit us on our website at www.coachesdirect.com. Thank you for your interest in the game of football.